Welcome everyone to Python Guide 2023, and in this session we will see how do I deliver my Python application. So once I have a good Python solution, a good Python script, how can I deliver that to my customer or to my users? And who are speaking here are John Mai. I am Microsoft Chief Technologist. Microsoft is an outsource company located in Brazil, and I also an Embarcadero MVP and worked in many projects with Python as well as other programming languages. And a brief of that knowledge of that experience dealing with many projects I will bring to you here in this session, linked with Python and showing you many cases of what is good or not good to use to deliver Python. So, in this session, we will see architecture options, right? What is the options that we have to deploy our Python application, as well as pros and cons with small samples in each architecture option. So, what are the architecture options for us to deliver our Python script? Once we have a good Python script, we have created a model or some specific runtime that just needs some inputs to give to our user some experience or some value. Well, of course, I will not show you all the architecture options. I will show the most common used in the industry, at least in my experience, right? But with these options, you're already able to put your script on production to deliver it to some users, right? So let's see what are the architecture options. First, we have web application. We can deliver our Python application as a web portal or a web static page, and users can go there, can authenticate there, and use our Python solution. Other option is a desktop application. We can implement some ways to generate some executable file and uh, deploy that executable file to many machines, many structures, and our user or customers can use that executable file to access our Python script or Python implementation. Of course, we will not be interested here. I think at least you will not interested as well in deliver your source code, even if you are working in a open source project. Many features of many open source projects are not all available to user manipulate, to user change that, right? You have only the most significant part available to user, but some parts are restricted even for Linux open source implementations. And when I say you desktop here, I not say you to just throw your scripts to a user, to a customer, to then to so they can run there. No, it's not these options. Is we build some executable file, some compilable executable, and our users will run that executable file, right? And we can deliver mobile applications as well. Well, mobile applications cannot be only scripts; they must have a compile build up file, and that file must be put in some app store or Google Play Store, and our user will get the application from there, right? Other option is build on an API. In this case, we will not delivering to some final user. We are delivering some software solution to other company, to other developer. Use our solution as a SaaS, software as a service, or other model that we are interested in use it. But we can deliver as an API and don't have any linked visual interface to our solution, only a backend running in a server. And we have also the option with multi-platform. I will show you after some other explanations how can we use this option as well. So for web application, I know it's too cringe to put these animations, but I was born before the 80s, so I think I'm free to use these PowerPoint animations. Sorry, you have to watch this. So web application can be very useful once we have one single application can be used in many different devices. Of course, to use this single application in many platforms, maybe we have do some changes, right? But for the basic level is a good solution for publishing to many different kind of technology access that we can use by smartphones, by laptops, by desktops, by tablets, right? And the pros are it can run in many interfaces, okay, and can be a robust solution. So once we have built an web application, that application can be simply consumed by many users at once, and we have changed nothing for that. And the const is require many knowledge. Okay, for many web applications, we have to deal with CSS, we have to deal with JavaScript, we have to deal with other technologies integrated with that web application. We have to deal with browsers as well. So we have many other technologies that we are required from us, will require knowledge from us to use that technologies. Okay. And for Python, many of you maybe have already contact with Django. Okay, Django is a good solution to use for web application. Django is very robust. Django have embedded MVC and ORM. Okay, so it's a very complex solution. And Django has also a native database support. So it's a good solution for you to build your web application once you are thinking to build some robust solution, some solution with many, maybe database support, maybe with many layers, as MVC will be natively implemented in Django. Maybe that will help you. And other solutions, but focusing more on lightweight solutions, are Flask. Many of you maybe already have learned about Flask as well. Flask is very lightweight, is very clean to use. In contrast with Django, Flask will come with minimalistic architecture, so it will not bring any other thing integrated with Flask. You will be able to put other solutions, other frameworks by your own choose. Okay, you have to go there, install other solutions inside Flask if you want to use it. By default, Flask is very lightweight, and Flask is also very flexible. So if you think your solution will be at this time maybe lightweight, maybe small, and maybe grow with time, maybe for web application, Flask will be a good start. Once Flask also requires minimal knowledge. Okay, you to use Django, maybe you have to study more, you have to be more familiar with many other um, technologies, other design patterns, and with Flask you will not be necessarily worried with that. Okay, and to the next architecture options, we have desktop. Yes, another animation. Desktop has the pros that they can run very fast. and for complex process, they run locally and can deliver a good response to our users, and can be very small if you choose the right things. They can run in one single executable many things, but executable will require us physical files. We have to update that physical files instead many machines at once when we release some updates. And if you are now only now deploying your system, think of many updates, uh, many changes in your softwares. Of course, many new business logic will only appears when your final user, are using your system. So you will necessarily need to update your solution many times in the start process. Okay, so desktop is very good in fact of be small and run fast, but it can be very uh, complicated when requires many updates. If you only use desktop solution, if you embedded your Python script inside some desktop application, I will show you some sample uh, later in the session. And for desktop, we have many options, but I will show what I most usually is with Delphi. Delphi, of course, is other programming language, but we used this combination in many projects, and it worked very well. We use since a couple of years now, and many projects are using this and work really fine. And Delphi has the advantages of being largely used for desktop applications. Delphi is simple as it can be. I can ensure you that Python is the most easy teach language that I have contact by now, but Delphi is really the next one. Okay, Delphi is very simple to learn, very simple to teach, and if you have not contact with any other programming language, Delphi will be very simple for you to use. And for me, this combination is very useful because of the simplicity. Okay, I can easily put some developer or a Delphi developer dealing with Python, or a Python developer dealing with Delphi with no more complex problem. This is not true when we are talking about CSS, JavaScript, Java, or C Sharp, or other programming language that require many more layers, many more knowledge, so you'll be able to deal to write code and debug and so on. And other advantage is that Delphi is red. Okay, Delphi is focusing on rapid application development. And for me, working with many projects, this is the most important aspect of any solutions that my team delivers, is be fast, write fast application, write fast code, deliver many features. And when we are talking about other ideas, other desktop environments, maybe they will take you more time, they will not be so simple to deal with. And in my experience, Delphi is the best solution for that. Okay, so in desktop, I will not have any doubt to use Delphi to implement. I will show you a sample in the next slides. Okay, for mobile we can have uh, a pro that mobile is largely used. Okay, we have many mobile devices around the world, and mobile is easy to grow because the deploy of mobile will be managed by the stores. So the Google Play Store, the Apple Store will manage the growth of that application for us. We'll only have to deal with some backend solution that we integrated in our application. But if your application it's hard, the application don't need any background application. But if our application are completed isolated, uh, it can grow automatically. We will not have to deal with any complexity. And the const is that we have to deal with many different platforms. So we have at least deal with iPhone and Android. We also have to deal with many different configurations and also with screen size. So configurations, we have many mobile operational systems. We have many Android versions online. We have many iOS versions online, and our application we must deal with all that different visual aspects, configuration, features, and with if you are looking for grow fast for growth for many different devices, maybe that can be a large problem for you. So think well, plan well, right? Uh, there is good pros in using mobile, but also these three aspects maybe will cost you a lot of effort to deal with. Okay. And for mobile, I'm not being repetitively here, but we also use a lot of Delphi with Python Mobile. I know there are many other solutions that we can deliver Python for mobile, but in my experience, all of that are very slow, requires constant internet connection uh, that it is not good to use in mobile applications because our users usually don't have always internet available to them if they are inside some elevator, if they are moving between cities sometimes. The internet is not very good, and if our applications need constant access to a large amount of data in the internet, maybe that can be a problem. So, in my experience, some uh, process must be done offline in mobile applications, and Delphi work very well in that way. And other ideas to develop mobile for Python uh, are not red, okay, are not focusing on rapid application development, and also generates very large applications. Delphi is a very considerable application size for mobile, but some tools that we use to generate mobile with Python that did not use Delphi generate sometimes 5 times larger applications with the same functionalities. And for mobile, that large application maybe can be a problem because sometimes the user will not be able to download it. User will be bothered because we are taking too much space on the device, on the backup with our application, and maybe it can be a downside of our application. Maybe users stop to using our application because of the size of the application, right? So for these and other options, I recommend you to use Delphi with Python for mobile, and I will show you also an example. Right? Israel can run both Android and iOS, and we can use even the same code base. Another option to deploy is we deploy some API. As I told you before, we can deploy the API focusing on deliver solutions to other developers, to other applications, and the pros that are easy to update. We have only update our backend. We will not have to update any front end, and the backend usually are in our hands. So it's very fast to change. It's very fast to maintain. APIs are easy to grow because we are not caring about the interfaces, the different shapes, the different size of screens, of usability. We only have to put our new server version online, and the developers will in the same time start to use this new feature, and will be by their own responsibility to put that to user use uh, put that use that function to user deal with usability, user interface, and all other aspects that maybe our application can require. Okay. The cons that maybe will be dependent on some cloud provider, and also to grow some API, maybe we have to take a lot of knowledge for us to grow. Okay, maybe some large backend API can took us many effort to maintain. Okay, and also API are not a single structure. We can have serverless architecture, and we can split our application in many server functions to many cloud providers is one option to deploy. And other two options are using or a monolith or microservices, right? There are not only one solution, are not only one way to do this. Okay, serverless is respectively new, is very new compared to monolith or microservices, but serverless also has its own downsides. Even uh, even AWS, Amazon, the most large cloud provider of serverless functions that I know, even they have many showcases where the use of monolith are advantages instead of using serverless. Okay, so it's not that you only have to use serverless or only have to use monolith. You have to use what your project need. Okay, you have to choose the tool looking for your own project. It's not that simple that say only use serverless and serverless will solve all your problems. It's not simple as that. Okay, and for serverless we can have these three cloud providers provide native codification for Python, so we can write our serverless function directly in AWS, in Google Cloud Functions, or in Azure Functions. Okay, we just go there in their console provider, and we can write our source code directly in the cloud. And after that, just call our functions as a serverless. Okay, from as an API from any kind of client. And I will focus in showing on AWS here. Okay, but the same way, the same functionalities work for Google Cloud Provider as well as for Azure. And other options are using our monolith or microservices. In this case, we will have to update a executable file or many microservices in our cloud structure. And for that, we can use Fast API. Please notice here that we can also use Flask and Django here. Flask and Django are compatible to build up APIs, but I will not bring them here, but they also has this option. But Fast API will not be able to provide a web app application. Okay, Fast API is focused on deliver some API in Python. We can have also a serverless framework here. Serverless framework is not serverless technology that we have seen before. It's just a framework with this name. And serverless framework can also provide microservices and some monolith structure. And who is coming here? Yes, the Delphi also can provide us to develop a API integrated with Python. I will show you an example of that as well, right? So for the last architecture option, we have multi-platform. Multi-platform have the cons, the pros of very easy to update because we have to deal only with uh, on structure, on application, and all the platforms will receive immediately that version, that update. But has the cons is very hard to maintain because you have to deal with all the different aspects of all different platforms and only on single application, and that can be very hard. Okay, link it with what maybe you will need from an application. uh, Using a multi-platform architecture can be very difficult. And for multi-platform we can use Kit, but as I told you before, many other solutions Kit cannot provide. So you have to use it only for multi-platform, and if you have to deliver some API and some multi-platform, you have to use at least two different frameworks. Okay, and with Delphi we don't have that problem because we can also deliver an API, also deliver an executable file, and as well deliver some mobile application. And we have also Electron. We can use that with React, but Electron will also require you to learn React and JavaScript, but is a good tool as well. So let's code, and Jesus Christ, I asked Bing to generate some logo of Python with neon, and as you can see, it not go as planned. I'm not good with uh, generated images. Right, go to the code. The code I know. For web application with Django, I will not rewrite an example here because it will take us many time, and Django is very consolidated. I will just put the link here. You can download from GitHub or write this step by step provided by Django. Okay, very simple to create your first project and publish in your own machine. Django works better in Linux environment. So if you are going to start with it, consider starting already in Linux, right? If you are not using it. Um, so it's very simple to use. Just go through this tutorial and you will be able to locate your web application locally, okay? And for Flask, the same. Flask, we have the tutorial here. Flask, I could find a good video for you, so it's even more simple than Django. That Django is a tutorial, and Flask here I find a video. Video is sometimes more simple to to follow. Okay, and for the desktop application, okay, desktop, I will not be able to find any desktop good online, so I generate one for you. And we have here and Delphi for those who not know. And with these two guys here, we are able to run some Python code. And here I have my Python code. Of course, this is just a sample. I put it as a resource string here, but I can also put as a constant a resource integrated with my exe file, and in runtime only extract and run that source code. And please just don't download the Python code from server to run locally because that is mostly considered a security issue. Okay, so put all the Python code inside your application and after that deploy it. not allow your application to download some Python code from some server. Maybe many antivirus or firewalls will block you if you try to do that. Okay, and all these features that usually a desktop application needs will be already implemented in Delphi. We'll not don't have to worry with that. Lists, integrated data set, and all these features are natively implemented in Delphi. All this visual, and also we have access to the red environment that I told you. We can just uh, drag and drop components here, and our application will be able to grow in that way, right? Is very productivity is very focused on productivity. Okay, and very simple to maintain as well, and will require you little knowledge of Delphi, because all you need is just call your Python engine. Okay, and uh, find a way to show your data, your result to your user, right? So for desktop applications, very simple to use. All the sample will be in this GitHub, my link hub, my GitHub, and at the end of the presentation, I'll put also the link there. Okay. And for mobile, we have also Delphi sample here. Also is a template, a simple template. Okay, and mobile, as you can see, very simple to write. I can also run in Windows desktop application the same source code and try it before. After that, I just go here, choose the target platform, even then Android or iOS, and deploy to that platform. After that, I just have to configure here my profile, and I will be able to put this Android application or iOS application to iStore. Okay, and so it's very simple to use as well. And for Python, works exactly the same integration. I have just to put a Python input output in a Python engine. Of course, these two components are not native solution for Delphi. We need to install this Python for Delphi scripter, okay, provided by Embarcadero. This is free. Delphi is not free, but this component here is free, and we can install it through a manual in our Delphi and use it. Okay, and we can use it even in desktop as well as in mobile in the same way. And for the API sample, the first steps of Fast API, I will also leave it online for you because it's very simple. It has many samples and very simple to use. Okay, and very simple to put it run locally. For Delphi will not have many samples online, but I have one separated for you here. Let me find it here. This sample use DataSnap, some Delphi technology to run backend applications, and uses just the same that we have used it in the front-end applications. We have to put some Python input output and Python engine, and after that I have just to call this engine, and the engine run the will run my Python code. Okay, and for this, of course, I will not have some interface. Delphi only generates this web page application for me to test locally my API, and with that I can run here. Last time I have an error, but I can run other methods here as well, and will work. My server is not running. It's running. No, it's not running. Okay, but it's very simple to use, very simple to deploy as well. We have just to update this uh, executable file in our server. And of course, for production line, it's better to use some Apache or EAS to deploy any API, okay? But for uh, test or small environments, we can use uh, this guy interface here. Very simple, okay? So this is sample with data snap, and of course that sample will also be in my GitHub. So you can go there, can check all the details. But the integration with Delphi and Python is always the same way. We have just to put these two components and link it and put our script to them to run. Okay, always work the same way, even through DataSnap or through a desktop or a mobile application. And we also be able to use any other external libraries. Of course, we have to provide them to remote machines or install them locally when we are using, okay? But we will not have to use only native Python. We can import any package that you need and it will work very well, very, very well. And at last but not least, the function sample are here, also very simple to follow, okay? And I can open the console and write my source code direct in the method handler. And after that, I just have to call that method handler as an API. So once I finish my work at my source, write my source code in the Lambda function is uh, able to be called by any client as any demand that I needed. Okay, so Lambda function is very diffunded. I will not put many samples here because it's very easy to find many samples online. Okay, and of course you will not be able to use only AWS. I just put AWS here because it's more simple in my opinion, but you can use Azure function or good or Google Cloud functions. They are good and work very well. And the last is the talk about multi-platform. Okay, for multi-platform I only separate Delphi sample, and for that I will show you how complex multi-platform can be. In this sample here, we can have a simple look of how multi-platform can work. And as I told you, we can target many platforms here, but also we can go here in the visual structure and change the style of the application as well as change the view. So we can see as an Android 10 or an Android 3.5 and inches. Also, we can see as Google Glass if anyone are using as a Motorola. And so we can deal with many visual aspects, and Delphi will save different visual configurations for me and run each configuration in each platform automatically. So you will not need it to manage or generate some simple interface that will not provide all the features that some interface need. Okay, I can use some different interfaces adapted to each kind of view that I needed. And of course all the same source base, so I will not have to change anything to build our application. We have just to generate some different executable files for each platform. Of course will not run the same executable for each platform. Okay, we have to build for Android, we have to build for Windows, we have to build for each platform that we want to use. But this visual change, Delphi will manage automatically for us. So multi-platform are good because we can um, uh, save time on source code, but they can be very complex because once you are working with one interface, if you change something, you have to change for the other interfaces as well. So, in my opinion, sometimes it's better to not use multi-platform solution and generate each solution for visual aspects and only unify code in backend. Okay, only in backend have the source code unified. But it's my experience for the project that I work at, that solution worked very well. Maybe for your project, for your solution, this multi-platform solution works better. So I put it here as well. Okay. So just for the simple conclusions, consider fast deploy as possible, okay, because your application, your solution will change, business logics will be created, and you will have to update your application. So consider the fast deploy that you can, and automate tests because you will not have time every time to test all your applications. So all you can automate it. We have many solutions nowadays. We can even integrate with GPT and other LLMs to generate the test code for us. So you can even test your Delphi source code or generate test for your your Delphi code or your Python code. So this will generate the test automatically for you. So consider having some tests, okay, and deliver your application with less bugs is very important once you are starting a new solution, starting a new application. And if you want to learn more about GPT and LLMs inside codifications, we have other session in this event, the Python Guide 2023. You can just look at the schedule. You will find the other session that talks only about using LLMs on codification. Okay. Uh, Unify scripts as best as you can. Remember, much code is much bugs. More code is more bugs. Okay, in better English, more code is more bugs. So less code that you have, less bugs that you can have, and size and speeds matter. Okay, very large applications, very slow application are bad for the user, are bad for the customer. So consider optimize that, right? Think if your solution needs some more speed, if your size are very large, consider to clean it up to not be some generate some bad impression on your application, on your solution. Okay, so really thank you. All the samples, all the links, including this presentation, will be in this GitHub. We here we have the QR code for you to access. Here are my contacts. If you have any question or any doubt, you can contact me for any of these channels, and feel free to ask something or ask how you can deal with your project. I will be very happy to answer it. Okay, so thank you guys for watching, and maybe I here for answer some questions.
Well, that was fantastic. Dion is with us live, aren't you, Dion? I think. So I did pin a few messages. Patrick Pramantar, he is an MVP. and he actually had some links there for the Python tools. Not actually directly associated with what you were talking about, but yeah, it is there. I've actually done this as well. And there's one for pythongui.org as well, which is a site that we sponsor. I'm actually the editor of that, and there's some various things come up on there. And someone asked about Code with Harry. The reason I just want to mention him for a second is Code with Harry he's a Python coder, very, very good one, very popular streamer. And he did do some promotional stuff for us. I think he promoted this conference. And boy, did he get a lot of people registering. It was thousands. It was very, very effective. So Code with Harry, I don't know if you're around. I suspect you're not. But thanks very much for your input. We really appreciate it. It was remarkably effective. That's good. Okay. And also, you'll be pleased to hear that no one less than Albert Einstein watched your presentation. There you go. I thought that was
Very
funny.
impressive.
I thought, hey, he's come back from the dead. So there you go. Bless him. Yeah. There's, I guess, a theory of relativity. He's not actually dead. He's time traveling or something. So, yeah, it's good. And there weren't any specific questions, but the other one was someone saying C++ is faster than Python. You know, okay, yes, I said this during the keynote that C++ is faster. Yes, but actually the point of your presentation was that you can use Delphi and Python together and get the best of both worlds, because Delphi is very fast. Under many conditions, Delphi is as fast as C++. Not always, but many conditions. And C++ is always going to be, you know, the thing that is the super rocket to the stars. But you know.
I love C++. Ian, I also am C++ builder MVP. I work with C++ in many projects. But like we always say when we are choosing between C++ and Python, try to write a complex number in C++. You have to
Right.
put many other packages to be able to do it. And in Python is just native. So each language has its own good features. But as you told you, Delphi is very close to Python. It's very fast and less complex than C++. So in
Yeah,
many
yeah.
projects, we use.
Yeah, I also edit learnc++.org, and I can say that some of the examples there are quite mind-bending. You look at them like, okay, that looks very complicated, because I can do that in Delphi in 3 lines of code. You know, it's always the way. I mean, you know, I think C++ is rightly popular. It's hugely popular, but let's not pretend it's easy to learn, because it isn't. And it's the same with you know, a lot of these languages. Even C# can be actually quite complicated. You can do cool things quite quickly with it, but after you get into it for a while, when you have lots of async procedures and things like that, it can be complicated. Delphi is pretty much easy all the time until you want to do some very tricky stuff, and then it's like any language, you know, once you get to that. And Bobby says that he or she, I don't know whether what gender you are, or even if you choose to have a gender. Hello, I'm a Delphi dev since February this year. Well done, Bobby. You know, I mean, Dion, you're from Brazil, is that right? Are you Brazilian, or where do you
Yes,
come
I'm Brazilian.
from? Yeah, well, I don't know whether people know this watching this stream, or watching the replay when you do come back, but Brazil is like an explosion of Delphi people. There are so many people out there, and it's a very active community. I actually joined the Telegram group for the Delphi developers, and I paid for the pro version of Telegram because it translates Brazilian Portuguese into English, so I can read the comments, and there's some really cool comments there, you know.
Yes, it's very active here, the Delphi community, and Python is growing as well, Ian. It's
Yeah,
very small compared to other countries, but Python is also growing here in Brazil.
yeah, and I think this conference over the 2 days is going to demonstrate that the two have got a lot of, you know, interlocking parts. But Python is extremely popular, and rightly so. It's used in so many different environments, and part of what we're trying to do is show how you can do GUIs with the tools, and a lot of free tools out there, but also what you showed as well with the multi-platform stuff. which is Delphi's, massive strength really and stuff like that. It's very, very, very interesting. How are we doing for time? Oh, we've got plenty of time, so there you go. One of the things that Martha asked me to do, Martha, I'm going to try this, but we have a new feature. Let's see if it works, because every new feature we've used so far has immediately stopped working. So there is an ebook. There you go. There's a QR code in the top there. Is it that way? I think it might be up that way, but there's a QR code. That's the one. See, you've got it. You're a pro. And if you scan that QR code, then you get the ebook, which tells you all about all Python tools and things like that. What happens if I click another one? Oh, they replace each other. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So if you want to scan this, and you can go to Rad Studio and learn more about Rad Studio. And also, I won't do all of these, but there's one for Delphi FMX as well, which is most popular kind of thing for what's going on. Very cool. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Oh, see, you've done this before. Yeah, you're going to be on one of those game shows soon where you just, you want to speak. Yeah, it's very good. So, is there anything that you? So it says someone scanned the QR code as well. You can get feedback from it. There you go. We'll put it up again just in case, because if someone's scanning it. Yeah. So, were there any other points that you wanted to raise that you particularly sort of thought might come up? A lot of the chats are basically just saying, "Oh, I like Delphi," and "Hey, Python this," and Bobby again says, "Thanks. I actually like Delphi. I'm from Germany, and I don't know any other company of mine that works with Delphi." Oh, there are plenty out there. We can actually put you in touch with some people in Germany. There are some German MVPs out there, and every time someone scans that QR code, it tells me. That's very cool. That's very cool. I like that. I don't even know how they do that, but there you go. But they miss IntelliSense code completion for Visual Studio. I've got some great news for you, Bobby. That is code completion, or basically, if you use Delphi and use Rad Studio, it will come up and it will offer you exactly the same things as IntelliSense. It's just code completion. It's offering you the parameters and the methods of objects and things like that. So the good news is, Bobby, it's in Rad Studio. You're good to go. So that will help you out. And surprised to find that Delphi is missing IntelliSense. No, it's not. It's definitely not missing IntelliSense. I don't know why people say that. It's VS Codes gives. See, now I'm going to show that so that we can just talk about it. They're saying that it's VS Code gives it away to any language. Actually, JBoss, there is a language server process for Rad Studio as well. So LSP exists in Rad Studio as long as you're using Rad Studio 11. And if you download the community version, which I've actually put the ticker here, I can bring this across the bottom. You can go to, if you haven't got a copy of Rad Studio, go to the link that we see there, and you can download a free starter version of Rad Studio. And in fact, I think even probably this QR code here will take you there as well. So I'm sure plenty of people will get what they need. But LSP is built into Rad Studio 11, which is the current version, and 11.3 is the community version as well. So I don't know why you're saying I miss it. It's there. It's in the product. So it's
Ian, I love VS Code. It's a very good tool in my opinion as well.
Yeah.
But Delphi for build for rapid application development is just out of record. You can even compare, you can even measure the speed that you can gain with Delphi. So I love Visual Code. I use in many projects, but it's not even comparable with what Delphi can bring us, can deliver to us.
Yeah. I mean, I use VS Code as well for some things. As I said at the start in the keynote, I am a developer. I wake up every day and write code. And if you are a developer that's doing a lot of different projects like I am, eventually you are going to come across a situation where you will use VS Code, because VS Code is just too convenient for some things. I actually used to use it for Markdown, but I use I can't remember the name of the Markdown tool now. Obsidian. I use Obsidian for Markdown now. But VS Code does a preview of that as well. And if I'm editing big SQL file scripts that I do quite often, I sometimes edit many megabytes of SQL script, then I use Ultra Edit, which is an ideal product as well. But you can't possibly, as a developer, you can't say, oh, I only use this and that's anything, because everything, I don't care what anybody says, there's always some kind of situation where there's a gap, and I think that's true of any language, RAD Studio just as anywhere else. But I take your point about the rapid application development. That's the name of the product, RAD Studio, and it really is. It goes click, 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 click. There's an application ready to go, and you write a little bit of code, because that's the ethos, that's the thinking behind RAD Studio, is that you drop components on of ready-made building blocks of code, not like Sketch or some of those other languages where you drop on things and you can't do anything. No, it's slightly different. But if you want to do an app with a calendar in it, you can pick from about 50 different types of calendar, most of them free or some of them very cheap. So, it's the product to go for. How are we doing for time? Oh, we got 2 minutes left. Very productive platform. Okay, I agree. RAD Studio is levels above what VS Code can offer. Well, J-Boss, you said that, not me, but I do agree. Well, I'm the developer advocate, so I'm going to say that. It is a very productive platform. And, someone's saying, I use VS Code as my merge conflict resolve tool in Delphi. Well, it depends on your Git tool. I use GitHub Desktop, and you can resolve it in there. I know other people use all sorts of tools, GitLab, and what's the other one? Oh, Holger Flick, Dr. Holger Flick. He's a MVP. He's going to kill me because I know he's a spokesperson for one of the other tools, GitLab. And I don't think. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, you can do a lot of resolution of these things. It's cool. Okay, well, we're nearly at the top of the hour. We've discovered that QR codes are cool, and your presentation was brilliant, Dion. You're going to be back. I think Eli's presentation is next, and then you're back in an hour's time for developing a robust application that uses Python. And that's got there'll be a Q&A for that, I'm guessing, and then AI inside out, which I'm looking forward to seeing as well. So it's going to be quite interesting. But sorry there weren't more questions, but on the replays we get 500 times as many people as we do live, so it's cool. So I'll speak to you later.